Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And I thought tonight's Raw was okay, wasn't great though, but it was, like I said, it was just okay. Sorry about that, but I was saying, thought Raw was just, an okay show tonight. It wasn't great or perfect though, but it was okay. So yeah, so the show opened with all the Raw Women's Division in the ring. It had a stand that was in the ring. Uh, and then Alexa Bliss ends up coming out. She gets on the mic and says that, she's the goddess of WWE. And she thanks all the women's division for being in the ring. She ends up, thanking Mickie James and, Sasha. And then she stands on the stool and then she talks, shit about Bayley uh, after she beat her last night at Payback, and she ends up thanking her, and Alexa goes to say that if it wasn't for Bayley, she wouldn't have the title on her. Alexa wouldn't have the title on her, and she goes on to talk that her family was disappointed after she lost the title last night, and then uh, Alexa then says that uh, Bayley's nephews uh, will, will find like will have a new role model to look up to, meaning they'll look up to Alexa, and then Bayley just tips the stand over. Alexa falls off of it, and then all the women in the division start brawling with each other. Then it goes to commercial, and then when the show comes back from commercial, it's a uh, it's a 8-woman tag team match. It's Alexa Bliss, Emma, Nia Jackson, Alicia Fox versus Bayley, Sasha Banks, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke. And this was, a decent women's match. A lot of back and forth action from these women. But Dana Brooke got the win, hitting the DDT on Bayley. First, Alexa raked the eyes of Bayley, and then Alexa hit the DDT on Bayley to score the win for her team. So Alexa, Emma, Nia Jax, and Alicia Fox won the match. But overall, it was a decent match. Then after that, you had Enzo and Big Cass, come out to do, they were doing their talk, and then Gallows and Anderson come out of nowhere and attacks both of them. So it's a little thing that happened. Then when Raw came back from commercial, it was Luke Gallows versus Enzo Amore. Uh, okay match, not great though, but you had Luke Gallows end up winning the match. So it was just okay match. Then after that, Neville was in the locker room with TJ Perkins, and Perkins says, what happened to Neville, says what happened to Neville last night at Payback. Like, Perkins, like, wasn't too impressed about what happened last night at Payback, where Neville just grabbed the ref and, the match ended in a disqualification. And then Neville goes on to say that he respects Perkins and no one will slam the king, what he said. And then Neville says that he will help Perkins be good, and he ends up telling Perkins to make the most of the opportunity because, Perkins has a match later on tonight with Austin Aries. So there's a little locker room segment. Then after that, Seth Rollins comes out saying, how he feels really good after his match with Samoa Joe last night. He thanks the crowd for that, and he says he wants to have a shot with Lesnar. He wants he wants the Universal title back. Then Finn Balor ends up coming out saying that he never lost the Universal title, and he tells Seth that the line starts here. So, and then Dean Ambrose ends up coming out saying that he wants to fight anybody, anywhere, and that the Intercontinental title is the title to go for on Raw. So and then Miz and Maurice end up coming out. Miz calls Dean an embarrassment as Intercontinental Champion, and that Miz deserves the Intercontinental title. And then Finn says Miz is the first member of the Balor Kiss My Ass Club, and he calls Balor a coward. And like how he said last night during the Miz TV segment, and then he even says why didn't Dean put the Intercontinental title on the line at Backlash. And then Dean ends up saying that everyone like Miz, that everyone likes seeing Miz getting beat up, and he says to the crowd, does they want Balor or Seth, to beat up on Miz tonight? And he ends up, on the phone, talking to Kurt, and Dean says that Kurt made a match, and it will be Miz versus Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins in a triple threat match, and the winner will be the #1 contender for the Intercontinental title, and that match is taking place tonight. Sorry about that again, but gotta say it was a cool little segment with Rollins, Finn, and Dean Ambrose and Miz. So pretty cool segment. And the next match was Jack Gallagher, Akira Tozawa, and Rich Swann versus Noam, Tony Nese, and Brian Kendrick. Decent match. You had Akira Tozawa in there for most, for some of the match, and Noam Dar, Tony Nese, and Brian Kendrick, they both gave it all they got in the ring. And then in the end, you had Jack Gallagher pinning Brian Kendrick to score the win for their team. So Jack Gallagher, Akira Tozawa, and Rich Swann, all three of them won the match. So overall, it was a decent match. Then after that, it was Sheamus and Cesaro coming out, and they talk about why they attacked the Hardys last night at Payback. Sheamus says that he never liked any of the crowd. The crowd starts chanting, that Sheamus looks stupid, like how they did before. He started tagging with Cesaro, and he goes on to say that the crowd treated him like a stepchild, and he goes on to say that the Hardys stole his and Cesaro's moment at WrestleMania. Cesaro is on the mic, says that the Hardys are just a novelty act. Then Sheamus goes on to say that this is the WWE of Sheamus and Cesaro, and Cesaro ends up saying that they are going to win back the Raw Tag Team titles, and when they do that, they are going to set the bar. And then out come the Hardys. Matt's on the mic, and he thanks Sheamus and Cesaro for that explanation of them, and pretty much talking shit about the Hardys. And they give Cesaro and Sheamus their response, and you kind of see Matt Hardy do like the little sort of delete thing that I guess he did it when he was in TNA, because I know that they're trying to have them do the whole delete gimmick that they had in TNA, because there is a sort of a lawsuit against that, for Matt and Jeff using the delete gimmick in WWE. So, but yeah, they end up Jeff and Matt end up running to the ring, and both Cesaro and Sheamus retreat out of the ring, wanting nothing to do with with both Jeff and Matt. So, but it was a decent segment with them. Then after that, you had Miz being interviewed about heading into the match tonight, and he says that it's all about the method. And then Ambrose ends up taking the mic, asking Miz questions, and Miz walks off. So it was a little segment with Miz and Dean Ambrose. Next was Apollo Crews versus Heath Slater. Rhino and Titus O'Neil was at ringside. You can see now Apollo Crews is now with Titus O'Neil, working with Titus O'Neil. This match was okay, wasn't great though, not the best match of the night, but Apollo Crews won the match with a sit-down powerbomb on Heath Slater to score the win. Then after the match, you had Titus O'Neil in there. He was taking a selfie like always with Apollo Crews for the second week, and you had Rhino come in and photobomb the picture, though, which was funny. So, but overall, it was an okay match. Then after that, Kurt Angle ends up coming out. He talks about the condition of both Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, saying that they both have sustained injuries. And Kurt says, he's spoken to both of them and says they are not done with each other, so their rivalry, their feud is going to continue, which is good. And, Kurt has been talking about the situation. Then out comes Bray Wyatt. He ends up coming out and introducing himself to Kurt. He tells Kurt that, he's not here for, destruction, and he comes as a saver. And Bray Wyatt then says that he closed the chapter with Randy Orton, and that Orton will be trapped in the House of Horror. And he says that Bray says that he's now reborn. Then Bray then goes on to say that Kurt needs him, and he tells Kurt if he's allowed to do his work, or is Kurt going to stand in his way. Kurt says that it's of course his show, and Bray says to Kurt that it's his own world there. So yeah, so it was a pretty good segment with Angle and Bray. Would have been cool dream match against if we saw Kurt and Bray go at it in a dream match. And then we had Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins in the locker room. Dean Ambrose interviews Seth Rollins, saying that Seth says that he's coming for the title, and that he beat Ambrose plenty of times before, and Dean says can't happen again. So short little locker room segment. Next match, it was another cruiserweight match. Austin Aries versus TJ Perkins. Decent match. Austin Aries was great in the match. Was dominating through the match. But Austin Aries got the win with the last chancery. I think that's how you pronounce that name of the move, on TJ Perkins to score the win. And then after the match, TJ Perkins just takes out the bad knee of Austin Aries, and he locks in the knee bar on Aries. So they're probably gonna have a feud coming up soon. Which that's gonna be good to see. So overall, it was a decent match. Then Dean Ambrose interviews Finn Balor about the triple threat, saying to Balor, if he's nervous. Finn says to him that he ain't nervous, and that he's winning the match, and he's taking the Intercontinental title to the Balor Club. And then what was funny is Uh, Ambrose hands Finn a donut. You know, he says something funny about it. And then Elias Sampson comes there randomly again. You know, Elias Sampson has just been, you know, coming around just randomly playing his guitar. So it was a good interview with, you know, with Ambrose interviewing Finn. And then you had Goldust and R-Truth. They were with Kurt Angle. Uh, both of them say that, you know, they want to challenge the Hardys for the tag team titles. Kurt says their win-loss match, you know, aren't good enough for them to compete for the titles. And then, you know, Goldust was, you know, talking to Kurt. You know, basically it was him talking to Kurt throughout this whole segment. You know, saying that, you know, he's known Kurt for years and that, you know, they want to prove that Goldust and R-Truth want to prove to the people that, you know, they're not just, you know, losers, you know, losing every single match. You know, they want to prove themselves that they could win the match and, you know, become the Raw Tag Team Champions. And then Kurt Angle then says that next week on Raw, they're going to have a tag team turmoil match, and the winners will be the #1 contenders for the tag team titles. So that's happening next week. Wonder who Goldust and R-Truth are gonna face in that tag team turmoil match next week. But we gotta see. So it was a decent little segment with them. And then next was the main event, which was the Miz, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins triple threat match. The winner will be the #1 contender to face Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. And this was the best match of the night, in my opinion. This was just an awesome match. Just Miz, Finn Balor, Rollins. All three of them were good during the match. You had, you know, Seth jump off the top rope, and it led to Miz actually getting you know, taking the brunt of a DDT. But at the end of the match ended disappointingly, in my opinion, because you had Samoa Joe come out, attacks Rollins, you know, lays out Rollins outside of the ring, and then, you know, it was just down to Finn and Miz in the ring. You know, Bray Wyatt's, you know, Titantron entrance goes on, you know, fate, you know, it's blackness, and then, you know, lights come on, and you see Bray Wyatt there. He gives his sister Abigail to Finn. You know, Finn's laid out. Bray Wyatt disappears, and it gives the chance for Miz to win the match. And so Miz actually ends up winning the match, and now Miz once again is the #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. I'm like, how many times do we gotta see Miz and Ambrose again? We saw it 1,000 times. You know, Finn Balor should have deserved to win the match. You know, because we already seen if Seth Rollins won the match. We already seen Dean and Seth go at it so many times. But, you know, at least they could have gave Finn Balor the win. I'm like, oh god, we gotta see Miz in the title picture again for the Intercontinental title. It's like they want, you know, Miz to beat Jericho's record of win the Intercontinental title 9 times, because that's how many times Jericho has won the Intercontinental title, total of 9 times. So, but yeah, we gotta watch this match again now. You know, Miz and Ambrose go at it once again. But hopefully, I hope Dean retains the title, because, you know, seeing Miz, you know, it's probably gonna be, if he wins the title again, it's gonna be he's gonna make a very boring champion. So that's in my opinion. So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow night for my SmackDown review. So, until the next video tomorrow night, until that review, I'll see you all later. Bye.